Hey everyone, welcome back to MechaNORN. Again, we're a week late, but you know what? It's fine. These shows, they're fun to talk about, but after a while, you kind of need to break from certain things. But usual shows: Cross Ange, Gundam Build Fight, and Gundam Recon. So 10, Goodbye from the Gallows. Basically, Ange's on trial, which is interesting seeing her. I guess she finally got back to her kingdom, so she's on trial with that, going through all that stuff now, and I guess her family surprised her last episode that they're not really welcoming her back right now, so she's going to be going through this right now, which is a little sad for her, but I think we need this to happen. And, during the trial, Ange is about to be executed, basically hung on the gallows, just like it says in the episode title, but she, starts singing for some reason, and this shocks people that she's singing and accepting this fate of, being hung, and she kind of just stands up and locks herself there, and Julio was kind of freaked out by it. He's like, why are you just showing off? Basically, is what I think he takes it as. And before Ange is killed by the being hung, she I guess Tusk arrives and saves her at the nick of time. Before he saves her, he kind of throws like this shuriken star at Julio and cuts his cheek, like makes him bleed everywhere. It's kind of funny, and it gets all over Celia, and she starts screaming and freaking out. But yeah, so both of them are kind of, I guess, see this strange person come in and save her, but he falls face first in Ange's crotch like usual. That's how Tusk rolls, I guess, and she knocks him out, and they kind of have to make an escape with Momoka taking his hover jet bike thing he used to save her and basically escape. And it was nice seeing Tusk arrive at the nick of time. I mean, I kind of figured that he was gonna come in and save her because that was his goal. That's what Jill told him to do at the beginning anyway. And speaking of Jill, when the girls get back, you think they would be welcomed with open arms, right? But no, not so much. Jill is not very happy with seeing, Ange and Momoka back so early, because, they did escape, and as punishment, Jill takes away everything that Ange basically worked towards. Her room, her money, even her machine, her mech, the Vilcus. She takes that away from her as punishment for, I guess escaping, which to me is like, she came back though, so doesn't that count for something? And you would need her to fight battles later, but no, I guess that's not the case here, which is fine, whatever. And basically when she gets there, she's locked away in a prison, but to her surprise, Hilda is also there, but she's kind of beat up after last week when the cops kind of got a hold of her and just beat her to death almost, so she's there with Ange, and both of them are kind of talking together, and Ange, Hilda asks, "Did you find what you're looking for?" And she's like, "No, not really. I didn't find what I was looking for." And she says something about her. Hilda kind of goes over her, what she went through with her mom. That these humans or these mana users really don't give two craps about these Norma at all. Even going so far as to, disown your own blood-related your child, get rid of them basically, and get a new one as a replacement. Because they weren't a Norma, so it seems kind of screwed up for Hilda. But at the same time, Ange kind of can feel the same thing as she's going through. So both of them kind of form this kind of mini alliance. And Ange basically, her new goal is to destroy the world. She's basically tired of trying to be go back to her old world, and it's never going to happen, unfortunately for her. So that's her new mission. Is basically just to. She knows the mana users are never going to accept them, so what? Screw it. We're just going to destroy this world. Basically, is what she wants to do. So maybe she's coming around to realizing that what Jill and all the girls have been teaching her about the mana users is correct, but at the same time she's keeping Momoka around, which I guess is nice. Whatever, it's her way of being somewhat nice to her. Just one mana user at least to show her kindness. Extras in the episode: Tusk had this stupid comment when he after he wakes up from they escape the kingdom, he's talking about her beautiful blonde hair, and he says something about, well, yeah. And, yeah, he says something about that, and it's really funny. Even your hair down there is blonde, so I thought, oh my god, this is ridiculous. And then Chris is kind of the badass now since Hilda left. Now she's, taking charge, which you have to worry about those silent characters. They always, have to, yeah. They always get a little more aggressive. And after episode 10, we get to episode 11, Dragon Song, which is basically more on Ange and Hilda kind of hanging out together in the prison, but also at the beginning had Julio revealing something with his assistant, I guess Riza. They're both in bed together, and as Cecilia kind of walks by or drives by I guess she can't sleep, she's having nightmares about something, and yeah, so she gets there and sees that Riz chick with demon wings, whatever. It's very strange. What to say? And after that, you get some weird comment he makes called her mom for some reason. I'm like, okay, seems a little weird, but yeah, that happened. And she pours some kind of liquid into his mouth. It's very strange. I'm not sure what they're doing with that. If Riz is a maybe half human, half dragon hybrid, or maybe she's a demon, maybe she's something else. I don't know, but she definitely won't let Cecilia get away because she kind of, I guess pulled her into the room, so maybe she's gonna brainwash her too. But yeah, Riz she's something. I'm not sure what they're doing with this, but with her. And then Salia, the commander of the group that so far, blue-haired twin tail girl, is having flashbacks of when she first saw Jill, aka Electra, I guess what was her name back in the day. They're piloting the Vilcus, and they see her when she comes back with missing an arm, and I guess it shows you how it happened. So it's interesting to see how these characters are linked. And after that, Salia tried to pilot the Vilcus, but it never worked for her, so she thinks she can do it, but that's kind of the episode with her. She keeps trying to pilot that robot. And then later that day we get a portal attack open, dragons start attacking the base, and something strange comes with them. These 3 paramels arrive, and they attack the other robots, so it's a little weird to see how this is happening. We never had mech on mech fighting in this series, and so now they're doing that. It's kind of strange. And Hilda and Ange escape eventually after one of the machines blows a hole, like a whole chunk of the prison up. It's very destructive. If you see the episode, it's amazing that place is still standing after all that. And Ange has to kind of get the machine back from Celia because she's the one piloting it and thinking she can still do it, and they have to do this mid-air jump switch robots thing. It was kind of funny to see how that went down, but also kind of awkward. But yeah, it works, I guess. And then Ange finally gets her machine and goes toe to toe with this red Paramel, which was, like I said, the very first time I've ever seen a mech on mech fighting during this season of Cross Ange, because usually they're fighting dragons. And they do that, so at the same time they fight, both of them are using these big attacks. And Ange notices the other one's pilot is singing to activate her power, so Ange tries her, hand at singing, and does the same thing. And both these girls fire these attacks, and they hit each other, and for some reason that causes this kind of, I guess, link between the two characters. And she does open the cockpit, and it reveals that it's this girl with like black hair, and we see her in the ending. She's the last girl in like this shot of all these girls kind of in a line, and we see her. But as to what or who she is, we don't really know. All we know is there's these flashbacks that happen on screen that kind of show Ange and this girl, I'll just call it Mystery Girl, together in various timelines. Like we have one that's a school setting, there's one like a prehistoric world, there's one I think there's like a medieval world, a future world. So it tells you these two characters maybe have a special connection. Maybe they're been reincarnated over years here and they know each other. Or maybe they're just trying to say that Ange is maybe not a normal, maybe not a man-eater, but something else, maybe from a different parallel world, which wouldn't surprise me because she is someone special, I guess. Even the Vilcus thinks so because she can transform it to different armor color. And episode extras from the episode, I said that Dragonverse, Dragon we usually see, or Dragonverse Paramel we usually see, but this is Paramel versus Paramel. Just very strange to see that, and it's refreshing to see that. And Ange and Hilda together, they're a fun pair, I guess I would say. Maybe not an OTP, but they have certainly, maybe they can be one of those, but we'll see. They are fun to watch. I like watching that. And Ange, with her singing, what else can she do with it? There is a weird shot in the next episode that the dragon kind of is reacting a certain way to something, and it almost like it's talking, so I wouldn't be surprised if Ange could control the dragons with her song, or maybe you know speak through the dragons or something. I don't know what they're gonna do with it. It's very strange. I mean, either way, they are gonna be making Ange do a little bit more with singing. We just see in the very first episode that's what she does. So it finally explains why she sings. So, but yeah. Anyway, Gundam Fighters Episode 9 Showdown at Solomon, which is I guess the final round of the national tournament. So before the national tournament, sorry. So we got Tri Fighters versus G Master and their setup fight.
Yeah. So it's I'm Jero, by the way.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Jero's here.
Hey, what's up, boss?
Yep. But yeah, this is the end of the fight. We're getting close to the end of this little tournament, and it's pretty interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, it's been a pretty fun tournament. A lot of different fights. The highlight, in a weird way, is kind of the swim team's epic fail. But this final battle against the Institute was pretty good.
Yeah, I like that they come off as this really dangerous team. Like, oh, gotta watch out for them, the swim team, and then like last week they got defeated so easily. But yeah, this week is the I guess would say maybe the build up to all this stuff you've worked towards, and we get the final fight between these two groups. And G Master, I think before they even fought the Tri Fighters, they kind of fought this other team and were kind of gloating about it that oh we defeated this other team like it was nothing. And then one of the guys, Kara, steps up and slaps one of the girls on his team because he doesn't really respect that kind of gloating, that not I guess not very sportsmanlike. So it's like I guess I almost want to say a reference to old school Gundam. They always have that
Yeah, the
slap
bright slap.
when someone's getting out of line, you gotta slap them. I guess in Gundam that's how it
Yep.
works. But what do you think of Akira's like react? I mean, I think it fits because he's this character that kind of takes his battling, build fighting very
Uh-huh.
serious. It's something that he's very passionate about, and I guess she did step out of line a little bit, but I did feel it was a little aggressive. I mean,
Yeah, it's just all
uh,
fits in with the character types of the members of the, is it Miyazono Institute? Yeah,
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Miyazono
that's
just
the one.
fits in with the kind of personalities and a little bit of variety there to kind of get a what's the girl's name?
I don't know her
Shoot,
name. I think I wrote it down last
Akira or
week,
something.
but
Yeah, just to
Akira's the guy
okay.
that slapped her. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but to get her just sort of like focused.
yeah, it was kind of like that kind of thing. Just to teach her, oh, this is not how I want to do this, and we should respect the team we beat. But yeah, I mean, Yanko's team is the one they defeated. I forgot about that. And she after a while, you do see a scene of her sitting down. She's almost you think she's crying, but actually she's not. She's more disappointed that she couldn't fight Sekai in the next round. So she's upset about that. So Hoshino kind of talks to her, but like I said, Ganko wasn't really upset. She's more like I would say more fired up or inspired to continue
Mm-hmm.
fighting. She got beat, and she's like, well, that's not gonna stop me. I'm gonna still go
Exactly.
next time. So I mean, that's pretty nice for her. I mean, I kind of didn't want her to be sad about her defeat.
Yeah,
So it's kind of good.
she'll be one of those kind of recurring characters where hopefully we see some involvement in her in terms of progressing forward in whatever tournaments or battles they play again later in the series.
Oh right, yeah. I mean, the series is pretty good about that. Once the team's defeated, they're not out and gone forever. They will be back later on. They just maybe they won't be qualifying the tournament, but they'll be
That's
back.
cool.
I mean, they offer some help here and there. And then speaking of that, Sekai actually does get training from both Ganko and Simon, the boxer from last couple episodes. Then they kind of help him train to master his new move because he's worried that Akira is going to counter his Hoenn school fire attack. So he's worried about that. So he gets some training from them because he wants to show off his new abilities in the tournament. He actually gets a chance to, so pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
That which jumps right into the actual fight. Now that was I don't know what do you think of the whole entire fight. I thought it was just insane how it starts off this normal fight and it just escalates and escalates. It gets crazier and crazier, especially when Akira's and the other girls would combine into one robot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's
It was just
there's a
insane.
lot of great action in a great stage that was randomly selected for the final battle, and it was one that people kind of seem to have an idea of, and it kind of reminded me of, when I play games and thinking about, okay, when I get this map, hopefully we start at near point C on like control or something, or domination.
Hmm.
Uh, but it seemed like a good map that created a lot of these different situations and kind of separated the fighters a little bit and put them, Yuma was on his own and Sakai and Hoshino were working together.
Yeah, it was nice seeing that, especially Yuma versus the other guy. Both of them seem to be like these pretty heavy rivals, and seeing them fight was kind of interesting. It was more like started as a range fight between two snipers, whatever, and then they jumped to a melee, and both of them were like close quarters, and just all the sneaking moves of beam sabers and stuff was really cool. Just seeing those two fight, and like you said, Sakai and Hoshino on their own, and they had to fight the other two, and it's just this kind of interesting tag team. We have them all fighting together, and but in the end, Sakai is the one who has to I guess clinch the win for them because it requires them to all combine different parts, and even Yuma throws in his I guess jet mode to like make a surfboard for Sakai, and they fight, and even they get down to the final where it's like, oh, both machines are just tore up. The other guy still gets up
Yeah.
and tries to hit him, but ultimately he gets defeated. It was just funny seeing how they would not stop no matter what. Even if the machine has two broken legs and a broken arm, they still, relentless want to win
It was
this
just one of
tournament.
those cliche things where, oh, he's going to get the final punch in, but there's no power behind it, and then that Gundam breaks.
Right, yeah. Even before that, we had this like cool little shot of like the build fight, the burning one, just catching fire basically, and there's lots of fire effects, and I guess you could call it a shout out to G Gundam, which is very famous for their fire
Hmm.
effects and being just over the top action adrenaline. And this was the same thing. All the animation was just like, the animation in general was really good in the episode.
Hmm.
And yeah, like I said, both Gundams are defeated and broken at the end, and obviously Sekai and the Tri-Fighters win this tournament, and it's kind of a big win for them because like I said, worked really hard for this moment, so it's really good to see them finally get their victory.
Is it at the end of this episode or the beginning of the next episode that we're going to talk about where you start to notice that Sekai is really getting into this and he's kind of fatigued from the battle?
I was at the end of or kind of like the end of the fight of this episode where, the guy's shooting his rockets at him and he blocks one. It reflects off his shoulder and hits him in the
Hmm.
cheek. And like you said, after the fight's over, they realize there's a mark on his cheek. Like, how is that possible when this is a
Yeah.
virtual game?
Hmm.
When it's like, how would you get battle damage from that? And it's very weird how that happened. I mean, they do make a comment about it that maybe he's becoming one with his suit or something cheesy like
Yeah.
that. I'm curious what they're gonna do with that. I mean, season one didn't really have a lot of that, but it's weird to see that happen, like you said. I almost forgot about that, but yeah, it's strange. And extra from the episode, there's a kid wearing glasses in the episode who makes a comment about that. He is from season one. He was like a big major character in that series, so I think it's more of a shout out for that season. But in my opinion, he doesn't really look any older than he did in the first season, so it's a little weird. But I mean, adult characters don't usually look that short as he is, but I guess
Okay.
maybe it's just a callback, I
All right.
guess. And like I said, animation overall was really cool, especially the fight.
Hmm.
You know, Build
It's
Fight has those. I don't know who they use for their battle animations, but they're really good at that job,
it's
definitely.
it's the biggest reason why I think we all watch the show.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And the last one is the OST. They put some of the songs in the right parts, and it just especially when he's doing his final attack, the opening kicks in and it just gets you, I guess, pumped up for the fight.
Hmm. Yeah, great. OST.
And oh yeah, I can't wait till they get that one that comes out. So what do you think of that episode?
That was a cool battle and a cool way to sort of conclude the tournament that they had for West Tokyo, and it was, it didn't have the intensity was there. I kind of enjoyed the Seikai versus the boxer battle in
Mhm.
Destiny more, Bill Barney versus Destiny, but this was uh, from overall top to bottom the most enjoyable like group battle in the tournament.
Right, I have to agree. Just seeing them, especially like Sekai and Fumio working together, was kind of interesting. Even though they've worked together in the previous episodes and stuff, but yeah, just seeing that both teams is, both of them just giving it their all was pretty cool. It's not they're not letting up, like I said at the end, just beating, defeating, they still want to fight. Like it was just so funny. And we went up from that to something vastly different. I guess they need a break from all this over adrenaline fighting to something else.
Hmm.
To episode 10, Gunpla Collection, which follows heavily on Sekai's sister, Mirai, who I guess their company's modeling, and they've been modeling the I guess model kits here and there. So they've been recruited to be in this weird modeling slash tournament bikini thing. It's just weird
Yeah, it was.
seeing that.
It's almost like the show kind of going like, this is how big Gunplaw's gotten over the years.
Right, and it's so big that even these, models and stuff are modeling the Gundams and stuff. It's pretty funny seeing that, but yeah, I think it was just a great break from all like the tournament action fighting and
Hmm.
over dramatic stuff. Just change, maybe some more comedy here and there, because even you have Mirai and Yuma kind of hanging out was kind of interesting.
Hmm.
Even though I'm not looking in this series for romance, but still, it was fun seeing those two hang out.
But yeah, normally it was funny how they were saying a couple times during the episode that your inner voice is leaking through or something, and but he was able to sort of keep it together and help her build her bear Gundams and sort of inspire her.
Yeah, he actually made a comment to her like that too, that seeing her build the model kit and making excited about it, and her first time doing that, and he was just like, it reminds him of why he got into all this in the first place. And just seeing that was kind of nice. I mean, she is the older character, and you would think it would be that way, set in stone that she
Hmm.
would be inspiring the younger kids, but no, it's the other way around. So it's funny just seeing, especially see her get more involved. I know in the beginning she was just like, this is just silly. Like, what are you playing with toy kits
Yeah,
for?
and I assume that's what like we see with the model guy that comes or the actor guy that comes in that he plays Gunpla, and I wonder if it's kind of similar in that world to kind of what games are here, where it's thought of as something that as a kid's thing, but a lot of older people are doing it to where the average age of person who plays Gunpla is probably higher than we might think.
Right, yeah, it is pretty. I mean, if you have someone like Raul, who's a
Hmm.
trainer, who's still into it at his
Yeah.
age, and this one, yeah, it's like Gunpla's like you said, equivalent to video games or stuff like that. That it's it's not not as I guess hidden talent that people do, but a lot of people know about it, so it's like it's out there in the open.
Hmm.
And that, like you said, speaking of that guy, he was more of a jerk kind of character. He was I guess a playboy, being that he's a celebrity in that world. He's just like, I'm a celebrity, I get what I want, and all this. And the initial fight that Mirai gets put into is like a race from point A to point B,
Yeah.
but this guy decides to do it differently and go for a straight up gunplay battle against her. You would think she would get defeated easily, but she did pretty good on her own, I would say. But
Yeah.
or did she just get lucky? I would say.
Yeah, Sekai kind of helped her out, gave her some pointers, like some training session that we didn't get to see in the series. But yeah, for what the event was, it was fun to watch it as a race and see a little bit of action in there and some uh,
Yeah,
some noble defending from the bear guy.
yeah, it's pretty good. The bear guy in the little backpack, little bear cub thing was pretty funny. Random thing is that girl in season one, that was her default suit she used, the bear guy, but she didn't fight as much as you would think. She only did maybe two fights in the whole entire series.
Mm.
So I'm hoping that Mirai maybe does a little bit more here and there, but I wouldn't hold my breath for that. If people are wanting to see her as an active character, I don't think it's gonna happen, unfortunately. So, but yeah, I mean, the race, Mirai was kind of funny. They get the finish line. She about to cross, so close, in her suit trips over a rock.
Uh-huh.
She fails to win, and this other woman wins, and she, I guess, is now the spokesperson for Gunpla modeling. I was like, oh, a little disappointed
Yeah, I'm
that
actually
that,
looking
that
at the
happened.
pictures of it, and it says Doctor Promotion Karen. I don't know what a doctor means.
Yeah, I don't know either, but it was kind of disappointing because it's like, oh, now I won't be seeing her in the tournament wearing like this, Gundam bikinis or anything. So it's like, oh well. I guess we'll deal with this other woman. And speaking of that, I think I would say most of it was not really a beach episode, but there was a little bit of swimsuit stuff, but not a whole lot.
hmm
So
Yeah, it was kind of like an episode. I mean, bikinis and at the beach, but it was more about the Gundam action. Like they didn't spend too much time on that. Most of the episode, I would say, was focused on the actual race of the Gunpla.
right, yeah, definitely, I would say that. And overall, what did you think of this episode? I mean, for me, I thought it was okay. It was, like I said, a good break from all the adrenaline action.
Yeah,
Now we get a little kind of slow enjoyment with Mirai
yeah,
here.
it's a good break. In considering I've seen episode 11, which we're not going to talk about on this edition of MechaNORN, but a good break in between what is the next step for the Seiho Academy Tri-Fighters.
Right, yeah, definitely, I can agree on that. Extras from the episode, and I did notice that Fumio was also in a bathing suit, so I have to ask the question, who worked better, Mirai or Fumio?
Yeah, as much as we talk about Fumina here, and I do like the bikini choice, you got to give it up for the big sis.
Right, definitely, I would say that, that's true. And, I think Yuma was even, like, made a comment about it, and I think Fumio was kind of, like, hitting him about it, like, you should be looking at other things. Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny, but again, this show, since it's aimed at a certain age range, we're not going to really go into much fan service, but, they give us some here and there, and like you said, yeah, Mirai definitely wore that suit better.
And they kept definitely we joke the joke is kind of like how lewd
Hmm.
Hoshino can be, and the bikini bottom they probably could have done a little bit more with, but at least the top is respectable for a girl of her age.
Right, yeah. Definitely, I would say that. Yeah, and I think that even the creators probably know that. That design, the choice is very, specific, and fan artists definitely have jumped on that. And like I mentioned, the bear guy, he was in first season, but so it was nice seeing that call back to that suit, come back to the series, and the little backpack thing. I figured was going to be the main suit, and I was like, there ain't no way she's going to be beat that fast, and sure enough, it was just like that.
Yeah.
And they had this little, I guess, feels moment when the bear mom mech was destroyed,
Yeah.
and the little ones just kind of looking back at it like they're about to start crying. I'm like, oh my god, this is so sad.
It kind of made me think like does is Mirai controlling it to create those feels or what?
Right? Or is the bear guy, has to have a soul or something? I don't know. It was just
It
funny
has
just
emotions.
seeing that. Right? Yeah, that's gonna be the next Gunpla upgrade: emotions in the suits.
There's another
So,
funny moment at some point the where the bear guy punches the Gundam between the legs,
oh yeah,
and then everybody you
yeah.
see like all the there's this great picture I'm looking at right now. All there's like three guys in the scene. It's Sekai, Yuma, and some other guy, and they're all whited out with their mouths agape and holding their hands over their crotches.
And yeah, I think Hosh knows you. Look at him like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
Like,
like you don't know the pain.
yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, I didn't want to make a statement about it, but the battle ring they set up, that was kind of very weird way they designed it. It was like this long
Yeah.
runway, and then off the side, two round thing. I'm like, oh my god. And of course, the main guy, the model dude, is sitting in the middle of this with all these women around him. I'm like, okay, Gunpla, or
Uh-huh.
Build Fighters, I see what you're doing here.
Uh-huh.
I was like, wow, it's subtle, but not really. It's just anyway, but yeah, those are two Gunpla episodes. I mean, I like them. It's a fun series, so wish more people would watch. But
I
yeah,
agree.
if it's something from that to go to Gundam Reconguista episode 11, entering the space war. This is more what Gundam's kind of about: space and war, and always fighting in space. I think every Gundam series I think has a space battle sometime in their arcs, but whatever.
Yeah,
And that's where you have the oh
I
sorry,
was
go
just
ahead.
gonna say, typically, like at about this point in the series, they'll kind of jump into space for a little while.
Right, and then jump back to Earth, or maybe stay in space for the rest of the season, but see how that works. And this is basically the Capital Army and the American Army, I guess, getting ready to go to space. So they're still, getting everything set up and making their plans and making their moves. And you have a new space squadron led by Mask, which I guess all of them are different kind of suits. Kind of interesting looking, but yeah, I think I mentioned this last week that the leg designs are a little weird still, for me anyway.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's I'm trying to flip back to see because I can't remember, but it's like it almost looks like it's doing the splits.
Yeah, there's a weird shot in episode I think 12 that kind of made me laugh a little bit, but I'll talk about it when we get there. But I guess their main plan is to attack the megafauna in space, but they realize they can't because they need Monday, and they need the G Self, and they need Bellry. They still need people on that ship, so they can't blow it up.
Hmm.
So that kind of gives them a little bit of an advantage. They can't be directly
Yeah,
attacked.
it seems like Monday is starting bit by bit to be she's getting a little crazier and she's very fidgety and she can't stay still and they're trying to tie her up and trying to push her. Norito actually shoots her with I guess like some pepper stuff that makes her kind of sneeze while she's running, and she's getting a little bit more involved in things. People are kind of more aware of the fact that yeah, about her piloting the G Self. So things are progressing in these past couple episodes to a head with Monday.
Yeah, you'd think they'd put her like in the brig or something, just to keep her out of trouble, but
Hmm.
even then, it makes you wonder, how far would she go to get out of that prison? I don't think she would kill anybody, but still, it's like, she's in space, and maybe that's where she's from.
Hmm.
So as you're getting closer to the moon, I mean, I do notice she doesn't, I guess, speak in broken sentences anymore. She's starting to use full sentences,
Yeah.
and making somewhat sense. But yeah, she is coming together, I think, as they get closer to the moon. Which I think we might be seeing maybe this week because they do have a fight like that coming up here. But hopefully they do something with her soon.
Oh yeah.
But then there's a part where Nick gives this big speech on how I guess he riles his troops up because I guess they haven't really fought much in space, so they're kind of this might be a little bit new to all of them. So he kind of gives him this big speech that you should do this for our pride of our nation or something like that, and they're all kind of like getting pumped up, and I guess he's basically lying to them.
Hmm.
But the girl next to him kind of makes a comment that you kind of have to lie to get some people to motivated to do something. It's just how it works, I guess, in the military sometimes.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I didn't know what her name was until this episode. Mick Jack.
Yeah, it is. Maybe they're just fans of rock and roll, I guess, for this, because it also made me think of like Mick Jagger
Yeah.
or something. It's
Uh-huh.
like it's there, and even Nick. I'm not sure his name's based on me, but just seeing, he's got a regular name, and she's just got this male name. Like it's a little weird to give that to a female, but maybe they have reasons, I guess. This is weird.
Some weird
And
reference
then,
we don't know about yet. That someone else
right,
I'm sure
yeah,
does.
I'm sure someone else knows. Yeah. And then Gusan, which is Ida's dad, arrives in his nation after a kind of a weird. I guess he went to space, and then went from space down to Earth
Hmm.
to get to his home. I'm like, why didn't you go there in the first place? It
Yeah.
seems very roundabout way of doing it.
That was a strange scene from start to finish. Just parachutes in during the president's conference, and then the guy's like, "Well, we've already did something." He's like, "Oh, well, I guess I gotta go along with it."
Yeah,
What?
I was just like, it's so like it's equivalent to like the vice president, it's saying that I'm gonna do a nuclear strike on this country, and then Obama kind of parachutes in from a conference and says, "Hey, don't do it," but he's like, "No, I'm sorry, we already said we're gonna do it," and it's like, "Okay,
It's like
I guess we're doing it."
we got logistics on it. Like, can't stop that.
I'm like, yeah, and you can't just you on the radio and say, drop the mission or something. Like, I just thought it was weird. Like you said, it's just you have the president telling the vice president, "Hey, stop. We don't need to do this," and it's like, no, it's already been done. Okay. And like you say, he's just kind of like, well, I guess we're going for it, and just kind of turns around and just sticks with them. Like, okay,
Talk about going with the flow.
I guess so. I guess he's really okay with it now. And then with that, we have Mask and Bellry kind of face off, but they're too like close face to face. They actually get out of their suits to kind of talk to each other, and they're face to face. I'm guessing you can't see through the glass, but
Yeah.
you would think they'd hear each other's voices and kind of recognize each other, but
Valerie
Mask doesn't know who he
Valerie
is.
said why are you wearing a mask? And then Mask explains what it does, and it's like, why can't Mask see Bellry there?
That's true. It's like, why can't he see through his, like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
But I guess they're saving it for the big old, dramatic episode when the mask falls off or something during a fight and he sees them like,
Yeah.
oh my god, it's you, and they kind of have this emotional moment, I guess.
Hmm.
It's like I said, it's very weird, but I guess maybe, like you said, maybe he can't see out of his mask to see Bellary. I don't understand. It's just very strange. And it makes you wonder, like, why don't they just shoot each other there? It's like they're out in the open. They could easily kill each other, but I don't understand why. I mean, if they did that, the series would be over.
Hmm.
But yeah, and then the Space Pope, that's what I'm calling him now, since he isn't really doing a lot. I guess he's in danger because I guess the American army is planning to kidnap him and use him as a hostage
Hmm.
and all this. And I'm just like, that's fine and all, but you get the G Self and all that for a return, but I'm not sure they're gonna trade the G Self, Monday, and Bellary for one person, honestly. But
No.
maybe they would.
And
So I guess either way, their options are who would they want out of the three? Maybe I guess Monday, since she has a tie to the creator of that suit. Maybe.
yeah, that whoever has the G self, they're going to need at least either Bellry or especially who they, I think, really want Monday for, the purposes of being able to control it.
Right, definitely. Some kind of pilot they can use later on.
Hmm.
And overall, what do you think of this episode? I thought it was kind of just another setup episode. I mean, we're not to the actual fight of the moon people yet, which is coming soon.
Yeah, in this episode and the next one that we're talking about, it was good for some action and some very minor pieces of story, but it was until the end of the next episode that we talk about that when my interest started to really peak. And then there was a couple
Hmm.
things in, this next episode we'll talk about, but for episode 11 it was just all right.
Right, I agree, just all right. And the extra stuff in the episode, in the beginning, the G Self was like repairing the megafauna. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Actually had a hammer and it was nailing them down. I was like, wow, this is. I've never seen. I've seen maintenance robots before, but I've never seen the actual Gundam of the series like fixing something like that.
Hmm.
It's very random, but that's what the series always does. It always pulls out this random moment that you're like, what? What the hell? Like,
Yeah,
it's so
it's like
weird.
he's got a hammer and he's going to work.
Yeah, and he's like, don't hit it too hard.
Yeah.
And the guy standing there, he almost gets hit. He's like, oh, you almost crushed me. I'm like, get out of the way, stupid. Oh my god, it's very weird to see that, but yeah, it was interesting. And then, like you said earlier on Monday, they tried tying her down, didn't work. They sprayed her, didn't work. And I'm like, it's just funny to see this gravity effect. So they hit her, she kind of swings, and it was just, them playing around with the gravity of this series is pretty funny. How they tend to do that a lot with these recent episodes.
Hmm. Yeah, it's pretty good for sort of creating some sort of animation pieces of them like being tied to the G self, and then they
Yeah,
go
it's very
around, whirl
strange.
around.
Yeah, and then episode 12, which one thing we're waiting to talk about, is the episode title "Capital Tower Occupied." And this was more of the continuation of that fight. I guess it's like basically I would say round two of this fight. And so we have the Capital Army's fleet, and I guess they're trying to fight the other guys again. Just so again, like episode 11, they're just fighting each other in space. So and there's just some stuff with I guess the Pope. They're trying to capture him still. And so far, I mean, this like I said, they're setting up this big old fight between the two groups, and they fight for a little while, but till like you said, till the end, things get really interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, and it was sort of the most interesting thing about how the fight sort of went with all these different affiliations was that it was getting closer to this location, and it seemed like everybody kind of had this moral understanding of we don't want to fight near this area.
Right, I think it was like I want to say like this building that was set up to everyone else. It's like a sacred ground, I
Hmm.
guess. So, and I guess bringing weapons near or to it was, I guess against their religion. I'm not sure what religion they have in this world, but it seems like definitely like war and weapons and stuff is something they really want to stay away from in that area. I know Bellery was freaked out by it. He was just like, I wouldn't. I've never seen him act that way before, so it was just like, this must be really serious.
Hmm.
If even Bellery's kind of like, freaked out by doing
Yeah,
that.
Saint Porto is the name of the place, and it was like there was kind of a couple moments like that in that episode where Bellry would do something, and then Ida would react, and then Bellry would say a response, and then she'd be like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was weird back and forth between them, and if they got to hang out because he had a new backpack, I think, in this one, the
Hmm.
big red. Well, I've seen the ending a few times. That I guess is like a long range weapon. There's nothing really special about that, I guess, just because it's.
Yeah,
I think we've seen it before, earlier in the series. I might
yeah. The
think.
assault pack in uh, Monday didn't like that it was being covered up like that.
Oh yeah, she was spazzing out too about it. She was just like, it wants to be free and all this stuff, and even Ida was like, yeah, I kind of agree with her that it does look like it's kind of suffering, I guess, but.
Hmm.
But I guess that's Monday, and maybe she feels more that the suit is to her, maybe something special, to her. But yeah, so that they do all that with the sacred ground area, and eventually they have to go there because I guess is where they're all meeting up, and as much as they were saying that they don't want to bring a whole suit on there, they did anyway.
Hmm.
I was like, okay,
Yeah, they
so I guess that
pretended
wasn't an
to
issue.
tie it up, and
Yeah, speaking of that part, I don't know, that was just weird. I mean, tying up, I guess they have to have some kind of like, I guess, evidence that they have it, but
hmm
even tying it up is like it's kind of silly. But
and then they open up the dock, and then just the tape or whatever rope just broke easily.
right, and they're even doing like a scan, like to see if there's any bio or whatever signatures on it, and they're just like hold their breath, they don't say anything. I'm like, that how does that work to stop the scan? I'm like,
Hmm.
but again, I guess they just don't want to overhype or not hype, but over analyze all these technical things. So it's like we'll just let it be and let these kids kind of sneak in because it's part of the plot. We need them to be there. And again, like, we get to the end where they're about to fight, and from the moon they start seeing these other ships arrive, and they start firing on everyone else. So both, all these three groups, the tower, the army, and the pirates are getting attacked at the same time, which I think is what we're looking forward to
Yeah,
next week, right?
yeah. That's what that last scene where when you see the ships coming from the moon, a whole new faction of people we've kind of heard a little bit about, and now they're getting into action.
Yeah, now they're finally, stepping up and I guess showing their, like they haven't shown their faces yet, but they're showing they have some military might from the moon at least.
Hmm.
And when I was looking at the ship designs, because I think for the longest time I think we were dealing with right now is like a Zaku-ish type suits and stuff, like we've always seen in other Gundams. But it looks like the moon's more of like the Earth forces from Gundam,
Uh-huh.
because all their ships look very much like what we see in like Gundam Seed or something. I just thought it was kind of weird how they're doing that, I guess.
Hmm. Do you mean like the bigger ships or the?
Uh, yeah, they look more like the bigger ships, and like every time you see like the Earth forces, they look more like battleships compared to like the
Yeah.
Zaku's, who look
All
more
right.
more alien-like.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of interesting seeing that that shift. Usually it's the other way around. But I'm curious to see what they look like and how they act. I did see some shots of the moon that could look kind of like a almost like a hologram type covering. It looked like there's the way it was like almost like a base. So maybe the moon's not really there. I don't know. It looked kind of weird. So maybe they're actually living inside the moon, I guess. I don't know, maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's like a Death Star or something. I really hope not, because I know Gundam is big on the whole every end battle has this giant laser.
Yeah.
Like all of them have a laser
Well,
cannon.
it's
So
interesting if you look at the picture of the moon, you see it almost kind of looks like that sort of digital type imaging where
yeah.
it looks like that could be like a part that's been colonized or something.
Right, definitely looks like that. It reminds you like a space colony. So, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that moon is actually a giant laser. I mean, because again, they have to defend their home, so like the home part would be like a giant weapon. But now I'm curious to see if the tower and the army join forces with the pirates to fight the moon because it's a common enemy. So the whole enemy of my enemy
Hmm.
might as well work together and defeat the moon. That's why we're here. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mask temporarily joins Bellary to help them fight for a little bit. But we'll see. I mean,
Hmm.
for all we know, Mask could switch sides and join the moon.
Yeah,
For all we
it
know.
could be like sort of incidental type thing where they're just kind of deciding that they're both going to fight the enemy and not really working together, just kind of improving some sort of teamwork.
Right, it'd probably be like, well, if we fight solo, we'd be outnumbered. So they have, might as well assist them while we're, actually fighting them. But we'll see how that works out next week.
Yeah.
And extra from the episode, like I said last time, Gundam loves their big space battles, and this is going to be one of the big space battles of this season for Gundam Recon. So we'll see how that goes down. Usually they're pretty long. They might take a couple episodes to get through, but hopefully not. And then the red backpack is OP. We didn't really see it much in the episode, but whenever you attach to any backpack to the G cell, it
Yeah,
becomes overpowered.
it really does. Like the mirrors and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I think Nick and Mick, it sounds weird to say that, but they seem like a good pairing. They definitely have this chemistry between them that maybe it's more of like a sergeant commander type of role, but
Hmm.
they are fun to watch together.
Yeah, they've had a few scenes in these couple episodes, and I almost kind of felt like, oh, maybe Mick is in line to die soon or something because of
Yeah, I'm
it.
thinking that too. They keep showing her, it's like, I don't think she's gonna be around too much longer, but we'll see how that works down. And like I said, the last thing I mentioned, that the army, the tower, and the pirates probably joining forces next week, which has me curious. Can't wait to see what happens. But
Hmm.
yeah, so what did you think of that episode?
That episode was better than the previous one from an action perspective, and it tied into the the factions a little bit more. And then the moon came in, and that's when uh, I was sort of re-energized. My interest in the series overall had re-energized because we're getting ready to see this new enemy.
Yeah, I have to agree on that. Seeing these new enemies definitely, you know, got me excited and ready for the next episodes. But yeah, this has been MechaNORN for this week. See you guys next week for single episodes. But we'll see what happens.
See ya.